Starting with Watford, looking at the squad and the players they've got now, can you see them staying up at the first time?
Yes, but it's going to be difficult because you've seen with Sheffield United and Fulham and the teams who've actually gone down that any team coming up, it's difficult for them because the nature of football, down there, whereby the most important thing when you get relegated is trying to keep the players together. But coming back up with the same players you got relegated, you obviously have to change things and trying to keep them. I think that they were unlucky to get relegated last year. We know the situation with the manager and the way he left, and I think had he stayed, possibly things could have been different. But they also have to understand that they're going to be in for a dogfight, and the experience of last season will stand them when they got relegated. Sorry, the season before will stand them in good stead to know what they have to do. They also know they will have to invest, which they will. So yeah, they've got a good chance.
And obviously Troy Deeney now, it'll be his 12th season at the club. Do you think, I think he's 33 now, do you think he can still be that talisman and play a key role? Do you think his time's kind of come and gone?
Well, Troy played a key role when they got promoted last time. He was there when they got relegated. He didn't play that much this season. So I don't think coming into the Premier League, you're going to look to Troy now to keep you up. Of course, he's there as a talisman to, get everybody going and to be in and around the squad, unless Troy decides he wants to play regularly and go somewhere else to play. But I think that they would probably have to do something else if they're looking to stay up rather than looking for a talisman like Troy. He's been a fantastic servant and a great player for them to really keep them up. As to the harmony and the togetherness to keep him around for that reason, then that's probably where he could play a bigger role.
Definitely. And Xisco Munoz came in, I think December last year. He only managed 11 games before he got the Watford job. Do you think he has the experience or the tactical ability to keep Watford up? Or could you see another managerial change happening mid-season with Watford?
Well, Watford are a strange club. I mean, I played for Watford when they was probably the most stable club in the world, with Graham Taylor being there for a long period of time with the same staff, the same players, continuity. And that is the recipe for success. Watford have got success with instability. The amount of managers they changed and they've survived and they got promoted and they brought players and they've changed the squad. You talk about having players there who are committed to the club. Sometimes they've got 10 players on loan and you think that's not the way because are they going to commit it? And it works. I don't think long term it will work, and I think they'll look for more stability now. But nothing that Watford that surprises me. So as to whether he's going to do well or not, or they're going to change him, who knows?
Very unpredictable. But Ashley Young has been linked with a return. He's now 35. Do you think that would be a good signing for Watford?
Well, similar to Troy Deeney in terms of galvanising the squad and galvanising the club and the fans to get a local hero back. Not necessarily, maybe not even to play every week, but just to be there along with players like Troy Deeney, because I think that you do need an identity. And I think that if you look at most clubs, they're looking to have an identity of a relationship between the fans and the players. And Watford, I would say more than any other club, apart from Troy Deeney, has lacked that, because players come, players go, managers come, managers go. Are they really embedded into the community as they were with Graham Taylor? And I think that Ashley could bring that back as well if that happens. So I think that'll be a good signing for them, yeah.
Yeah, so do I. And I'm putting you on the spot a bit, and I know we talked a lot about transfers, but if there is that striker that you feel like every Premier League team needs 10, 15 goals, can you think of a name, maybe someone who's done well in the Championship who Watford could look to sign to help them stay up?
Well, if there's a name that anybody knows who's going to be a fantastic player, he's not going to go to Watford, with all due respect, because all of the top strikers want to go to bigger clubs. So it's going to have to be a name that nobody really knows, and as to whether it's going to be a player in the Championship or a player from abroad, and Watford seems to have a very good handle on players abroad, never mind strikers. I think that is probably the route to go, because that's what they do with the players they actually have. So it'll be a player that I've never heard of, because look at Sarr, for example. I never heard of him before, but look at the effect he actually had. So it wouldn't surprise me if Watford gets a player that no one's heard of but who does well.
We'll move on from Watford now. Another former club, Newcastle, and Alan St-Maximin's been amazing for them this year. How good do you think he is, and do you think he could play for a Big Six team?
He's been fantastic for Newcastle. He's been incredible for Newcastle, and of course him coming back really helped that situation. And I'm pleased for Newcastle, pleased for the fans, pleased for Steve Bruce, because on the difficult circumstances when the harmony wasn't right, because of course the relationship they have with the owner, I think he did well to stay up, particularly when they were struggling and there was a lot of negativity surrounding it, and they came out of that, and he had a big part to play in that, St. Maximin. But he has to choose his club, and Newcastle's the right club for him, because they give him the ball and say, do what you want. He won't get that at a big club. He'll have to fit into a system like Wilfred Zaha. That's why I say when players talk about let's go to a bigger club, You have to find the club that suits you, and I don't think there's a better club for him than Newcastle, because they allow him to do what he wants, dribble when he wants, and they don't criticise him, whereas he won't be able to do that at other clubs. So I don't think that a big six club would suit him, no.
Yeah, he's brilliant to watch. Another player who's been brilliant for them is Joe Willock. 7 goals in 7 games back in the season. Where do you think he'll be next year? Do you think Newcastle can buy him permanently, or do you think Arsenal think, no, we need him playing for us?
Well, Arteta's already said that he's coming back to Arsenal. I've seen him a couple of times before he went to Newcastle. Every now and again when he came off the bench, or he started for Arsenal in certain matches, and I've always liked him, and they liked him. They like him a lot. He needed the experience and he wanted to play, so that's a great move for him and for Newcastle to go there on loan. But I think he will feature more heavily at Arsenal. As to whether he had such a good time at Newcastle, he thinks I want to stay here permanently rather than stay at Arsenal. But I think he's at the stage whereby he still can give Arsenal a bit of a go to see whether he can get into the team, because Arteta is playing youth. You got Smith Rowe, you got Sacco, and he's one like that who could get into that team. He'll be given time, he'll be given support. So as much as it went really well for him at Newcastle, I think he'll stay at Arsenal.
Yeah, he'll go into that team definitely. We talked about Steve Bruce a bit, and he was getting loads of unfair criticism from the fans. I think he's got the same amount of points as Benitez in his first season. What do you think as a manager? Do you think he's the man who can take Newcastle to the next level?
Well, once again, at this moment in time, for where Newcastle are, the next level really is mid-table at this moment in time. Of course, if Mike Ashley sells the club and somebody comes in who they like, who's going to spend the money that they want to spend to get the players they want, they can look to push on. But at this moment in time, the current climate, he's doing as well as any manager could. So Newcastle don't have to look to go to the next level. They have to look for stability. They have to look to finish probably where they finish now, mid-table, maybe just below, because it was looking quite precarious to begin with. And what actually helped them was the fact that there were no fans there. Because I've seen Newcastle come from behind and, scrape results when, if there were fans were there who would be negative because they weren't playing particularly well, I could see them getting relegated. So I think that situation helped. Unfortunately for Steve, as long as that situation is unresolved in terms of Mike Ashley's going to be the owner, even when the fans come back, unless they're going to be in the top 8, 7, which they're not necessarily going to be, there will be that negativity which will affect him and will affect the club.
I think they finished 12th at the end, which is pretty good, isn't it, going? And how much million do you get after you go up league places?
I don't think they could have expected any more than that.
And you mentioned Mike Ashley. What do you make of his ownership of the club, and do you think he's unfairly criticised? I know Rio Ferdinand's come out previously and said, look, he's still putting the money into the club, maybe the fans are being too unfair. What do you make of that?
Well, he does put money into the club. They bought players. If you look at the salaries they paid, the signings they've made, obviously it's quite tribal up there, and of course he's from too far down south, the Cockney Mafia and things he's probably done or said in the past where he's maybe not gone to the game, been a bit disrespectful in their eyes. But I think in terms of what and they would know more than I am, obviously not at Newcastle, but from what I can see in terms of the players they've bought, the money they've spent, the salaries they've paid, but football fans are hard to please. I'm very much like you talk about Frank Lampard at Chelsea, Steven Gerrard, coming back to Liverpool. If you're one of their own, they'll forgive you. But if you're not and things aren't going well, it compounds it and makes it even more difficult. But that's a political issue, which I'm not really interested in. I'm just more interested from the playing side and the managerial side, and I think the players and Steve Bruce have done a fantastic job.
And I'll end on the takeover. We kind of mentioned it briefly, and there was rumours of this kind of Saudi Arabian takeover. What did you make of that on the kind of moral level? Do you think that should have happened, or are you glad it didn't?
Well, first of all, morality has left football many years ago. From 1992, when the Premier League started, when they wanted to break away from the First Division because they wanted more money, to be able to spend more money than everybody else. So this whole idea of morality, let's not even go down that route. Because, of course, every other club will then say, as you're asking me now about the morality of the Saudis taking over, but would you like that money coming into your club? And I'm sure they'll say yes. So I don't look at any moral issues when it comes to football. And that could happen again. That could happen again. Because if you look at football fans want success. And regardless of whether it's right or wrong, and that's the great thing about football, that they will forgive anybody anything if you give them success. So from the moral issue, we'll do a political program, which we can, and I'll talk about the politics of football, so I don't get involved in the morality of football, because there is none. Yeah,
look at the Man City fans, they're not unhappy, are they? And we'll have a seamless move to Eden Hazard. It looks like he could be gone. Apparently Real Madrid listening to offers. What do you make of his spell at Real Madrid, and where do you think his next club could be?
I've said for years, and I'll continue to say it, a football player has to find the right club that suits him. Chelsea suited Eden Hazard perfectly, like Wilfred Zaha at Manchester City, at Crystal Palace, and Saint Maximum at Newcastle. At Chelsea, he did what he wanted. Dribble when he wanted, lost the ball when he wanted, the fans didn't boo him, he could do whatever he wants. Real Madrid, he can't, because you got all the superstars there. So I didn't feel that he would be a success there. That's why I'm saying to players, look at the club you go to, and if you are a kind of player who just wants to do what you want to do, and dribble and try when you want to try, and look at Matt Letizia at Southampton, and Matt stayed there because he knew the type of player he was and he was happy there. So I can't see him now going to another top club because of what's happened to Real Madrid. He's had his injury problems as well. But the good thing about football is that there's always a club, a very, very good club, who will take you. So I don't think he'll go to he can't go to a bigger club than Real Madrid. Coming back to Chelsea could be quite interesting. Yeah, coming back to Chelsea, although in saying that, Thomas Tuchel now is at a situation whereby you're looking at Mason Mount, you're looking at Pulisic, you're looking at other players who may be inhibited because he's there and it's got to be like, give him the ball and what are we doing? Just have all N'Golo Kantes while he does what he does. So I don't necessarily think that with the right move for Chelsea moving forward in terms of the development of the other number 10 type players. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes.